Hello friends, welcome to this YouTube video program. We are discussing about some of the fundamental principles for establishing this national education policy 2020. You will find that the recommendations that has been given in the national education policy 2020, all the fundamental principles that we are discussing that have been properly addressed in different sections, subsections, in different chapters of this great document of national education policy 2020. So friends, after 34 years after 1986, the central government has come forward with notifying this national education policy 2020, and the country is very much hopeful that this policy, national education policy, will work as a you can say way forward, and this policy, this national education policy will lead this country, lead this nation towards its development, towards its excellence. So friends, we are discussing some of the fundamental principles we have already discussed in three earlier videos, and in this video we will discuss some of the principles, direct principles or fundamental principles, you can say. So we'll start our discussion on you can say emphasizing the equity and inclusion. So friends, you see, when we talk about our education system, even if when we go through the constitutional provisions on education, which is there in Indian Constitution, you will find that the sense of equality, the sense of fraternity, the sense of you can say the other core values of human being, other core values of the individual, that has been addressed. Okay, and let us link it with the Right to Education Act 2009, which has implemented from 1st April 2009. That is also one of the great document that provides education as a right to all the children of this country, up to the age group of 6 to 14. Okay, from class 1 to class 8. You see, when we talk about the provisions of Right to Education Act, you will find that a sense of equality, equity, and quality aspect have been discussed. Only achieving equality is not enough, but with equality, our education system should empower enough. It should provide, or it should help the learners, it should help the students for achieving equity and quality in education. So here, keeping in consideration of these constitutional values and the earlier policies that has been developed, here also this has also been focused as one of the fundamental principle for developing this national education policy, that is equity and inclusion. You see, no child in this country should allow, or should you can say we shouldn't, the state shouldn't keep a child away from this education system. So all should come to the system of education, all should be educated. But here, when we talk about equity and inclusion, we consider, and this is not that we consider, it happens. Okay, so all our schools in this country are inclusive schools. Okay, all our schools are inclusive schools. So in our school, irrespective of gender, irrespective of abilities, irrespective of different diversities, you can say, from this different socio-economic strata, from different socio-economic group, from different language backgrounds, from different cultural background, you see, all are sitting in one class, all are coming to one school, and they are getting inclusive education. Okay, So, in this context, when we talk about inclusive education, we provide equality. Our attempt is to achieve the equality, which is a core principle of our Indian Constitution. But at the same time, with achieving equality, we should work, our education system should empower, our education system should one of the powerful agent for achieving equity and quality. Equity means, friends, when we talk about a group of children, a group of learners, you will find that all are from diverse groups, all are from diverse abilities, all are from diverse socio-economic status. Earlier we are talking about diversity. Our country is full of diversities. Okay, we consider diversities as our strength. So then further, this is the responsibility of this school system. This is the responsibility of our education of the or the teacher, that how to address these diversities in the teaching learning process. So that's why we should talk about equity, not only equality. So that's why in National Education Policy 2020, you will find that the concept and principle of equity and inclusion that has been addressed means all are not equal, so far as their abilities are concerned, so far as their condition situation is concerned. So that's why, as per the need, as per the interest, as per the abilities, how to provide different types of activities, how to provide varieties of activities, so that how to include or how to give inclusive pedagogy, to implement inclusive pedagogy in the education system. So that has also been a part of fundamental principle of this national education policy. Okay, let me to give one example. In I have also discussed it in earlier video. You see, when we talk about equality, let take a very common example. Let you want to organize a competition, and in your competition, let different animals they are participating. Let elephant is there, crocodile is there, fish is also participating, dog is there, monkeys are there. Okay, so different animals are participating, and the task is, in the competition, the task is climbing a tree. So now tell me, if definitely you are providing equal opportunity to all the animals. So do you think that all the animals are capable enough to climb a tree? An elephant cannot climb a tree, whereas a monkey can, at a sudden, within no time, can jump the tree and climb the tree. So that's why this is the equity. Means only talking about equality is not enough. Rather, with equality, we should understand what is the strengths and weaknesses of the child, what is the strengths and weaknesses of the individual student. Then accordingly, we have to address that student. We have to address that individual student, that what one can do and what one cannot do. Okay, so that's why, friend, this is one of the very important thing which is addressed, which has discussed in our constitution, that to with achieving equality, we should talk about how to achieve the equity, and for achieving equity, quality is required. And friends, you will find that in Right to Education Act 2009, these three things are discussed: equality, equity with quality. How to provide quality elementary education, not only quality education. So that's why this is very beautiful thing, that again, this is also one of the fundamental principle of establishing, developing this great document, that is National Education Policy 2020. Further, friends, another your fundamental principle, that is synergy in curriculum across all levels of education. Okay, so friends, we practice education in different stages. Okay, as per the structure of education. Now the new structure of school education that has been implemented, that we will discuss in a next program, in a next video program. That is how education is now bifurcated. The structure has been redefined as 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 system. We'll discuss it in another program, but here what I mean to say, we have the early childhood care education, ECCE education, then we have the elementary education, we have the secondary education, we have the senior secondary education. Now senior secondary is not there, secondary and senior secondary, that has been merged. Okay, secondary education system is there, then higher education system is there. So how to maintain a good synergy, a good linking between early childhood care education and primary education, with primary education and secondary education. So friends, try to understand that the transitive period is very important. Transitive period means when a learner, when a student proceeds, moves from elementary to secondary, secondary to senior secondary, senior secondary to higher education. Here you see the experiences, the concept that one has achieved, one has experienced in the earlier stages of education, that helps the child, that helps the student to understand the further classes, the content, the curriculum which has designed, which has kept in the further classes, in the further stages. So that's why here there should be a proper synergy between the curriculum, synergy between different levels of education. Okay, so secondary education should be linked with higher education. Okay, so it should be it should it should go in a continuous process. Okay, so one stages of education should not be isolated with another stages of education. So there should be a linkage, and this linkage is not in pen and paper, this is not only in document, rather it should be reflected in curriculum designing. Means the educationists, the teachers, who are involved in curriculum construction, curriculum development, they should properly take care that how to link school education with higher education. Okay, the content and the subject treatment that we are giving to the students at the school stage, how their experience will further help those learners, help them for acquiring new knowledge in higher education system. So that's why, friend, isolated education, there is no meaning of isolated education. So that's why there should be a proper you can say synergy between different levels of education, curriculums of different levels of education. That is also given proper treatment in the education in National Education Policy 2020. Further, another very important principles, fundamental principles that has been addressed in National Education Policy, that is teachers and faculty as the heart of the learning process. Okay, so that's why their recruitment, continuous professional development, positive working environment and service condition should be provided to the teachers, should be provided, you can say those are working in education department, in the human making institution. So friends, we understand that teachers are given highest prestige. Okay, teachers are given highest honor in the society. It is because the responsibility, the work that they perform. Okay, so friends, here even if this has been addressed in the Right to Education Act, that during the recruitment of the teacher, how to recruit, how to employ the quality teacher in the system. Okay, those are the teachers who are acquainted with the content, at the same time with the pedagogy, who can understand how to teach. Okay, and who can understand child development also, how the child develops. Okay, what are the different stages of development, and as per the stages of development, what type of pedagogical treatment, pedagogical intervention should be given, pedagogical provisions should be made in our curriculum, so that the child should develop proper numeration skill, proper language skill, understanding about the society, diversity and other aspect, at the same time develop a scientific temperament, at the same time scientific attitude. So friends, this is all about you can say the recruitment of the teacher and continuous professional development of the teacher. how we engage our teacher for developing their you can say profession, how we create a situation in our education system, and that education system will further help the teacher you can say for acquainting themselves with the world of the development of this world, development of pedagogy, development of different sectors of life, development of acquaint themselves with different innovations, science and technology in education. So that's why to provide to recruit quality teacher and continuous professional development of the teachers, and to establish a positive work culture in the system, in the schools, in the educational institutions, that has also been given in importance. Then the service condition also, where teachers work, they should proper arrangement of seating, proper infrastructure, proper resource materials for the teachers. Okay, so this is also the part of this national education policy, and this is the country is very much hopeful that when it will implement such things will visible that there will be one paradigm shift in the education system. Okay, then further research is we consider that research is a weakest part of our education system, so far as if you compare the research of the other sector of education, or you can say across the world, the development which is taking place across the world. So friends, here you see this is one of the outstanding research, is one of the important fundamental principle of this national education policy. Here this has been discussed that to concretize for outstanding education and development, how to you know how research will support, and how the faculties will provide supports, different supports for pursuing research. At the same time, how to develop a research culture in the institutions, starting from the master dissertation work towards the PhD and other systemic research. So here for funding of research, at the same time working on new innovations, working on new topics, new titles, new themes is also the part of this coming education policy. Then further continuous review of progress based on you can say sustained research and regular assessment by educational experts. So friends, which has been developed, then how to review the process, how to review the entire system which is being practiced in the educational process in our educational system, and further what modification, what development, what innovation is required. So that also how to do it, this has also been one of the focused point in this national education policy 2020. Then further our education system should develop a sense of spirit, develop a sense of pride among the citizens of this country, among the young generation of this country, that they should feel pride about the richness of our culture, about the diversity, the beauty of diversity of our culture, and how we achieve the unity among these diversities. At the same time, how we appreciate and accept the rich ancient culture of India, rich the rich practices of India. We can take the example of the Nalanda, Takshashila, and other the rich traditions, the prevailing of peace and other values in our society, and all about the beautiful things of our culture, how to reflect all these you can say the rich things, all these beautiful things in the curriculum. That also should be taken that has also been taken care of in this national education policy, that the education system, we should impart education, we should impart such type of education, that education should make a total individual the development of total personality among the individual. At the same time, they should feel pride about this nation. They should feel pride emotionally. They should attached with the development of this nation, development of this country. They should work for reconstructing this country. So friend, this is one of the very you can say essential thing. This is, it should be the principle of any education policy, that how to develop how to emotionally attach the citizen, the young generation of this country towards the system of this country, towards the development of this country, towards this culture of this country, towards this rich tradition of this country, towards the ancient practices of this country. And from the ancient system of education, from the ancient practices, how we have reached at this modern culture, how we have reached with this modern system of education. So this has also been reflected in this National Education Policy 2020. Then further, the another important aspect, fundamental principles that has been discussed, that is education is a public service, seems to quality education must be considered a basic right of every child. Friends, whatever we are doing, being a teacher, being an educationist, being a curriculum constructor, okay, being a part of teaching learning system, being a part of pedagogy, so we are involved for you can say the individual, or we are involved for making the child, okay, for making the personality of the child, for for engaging the child in understanding, for developing the life skill with the formal education. So that's why friends, such spirit, you can say such principles, it should be developed among the individual, among the students, among the learners. And a sense of right, it should be developed among the individual, that providing education is the responsibility of the country. In my earlier video, I have discussed that in a democratic country, this has been considered that the optimum development of the individual citizen is the main aim of any democratic country, any democratic form of government. Means a democratic form of government understands that the development of individual power, the development of individual right, the development of you can say the individual abilities, further that will help for development of this country, further that will help for constructing this country. So that's why friend, this has also been also has discussed in this National Education Policy 2020. Then further, the another point that has been addressed, that is substantial investment in a strong, vibrant public education system, as well as the encouragement and facilitation of true philanthropic private and you can say community participation. So friends, here you see substantial investment in a strong and vibrant public education system. So how to invest in the public education system? I have discussed in my earlier program that we consider the investment that we have made in education, the money that we spent in education, we never consider that this is a waste. Rather, we consider that this is an investment, and that is also a generation involvement, that is also a lifetime investment. Okay, so that's why from the side of the government, from the side of you can say the state administration, substantial investment should be in education system, for developing the institute, for establishing infrastructure in the institute, for providing optimum facilities, for providing resources to the teachers, for providing resources to the students, and to engaging students, teacher in authentic teaching learning process. Okay, so for engaging themselves for in experimentation, in observation, in field activities, in research. So the fund is required, resources are required. So that's why for the part of the you can say the administration, you can say optimum support should be provided to the institution. Substantial financial you can say investments should be made for the institution, for the growth of the institution, at the same time for providing quality education to the citizen of this country, to the young citizen of this country. So friends, we have discussed about the fundamental principles that have been taken care of, the focused point that have been taken care of for establishing in this national education policy 2020. And further, when you will discuss different chapters of this national education policy 2020, you will find that these fundamental principles, how this has been addressed in different sections and subsections in different recommendations. So this is the recent development. So being a student of education, or being, you can say, part of this country, being a citizen, being a learned person, one should understand these fundamental principles upon which this national the historic education policy, that is the national education policy 2020, has been developed, has been established. Thank you.